I mean, it's just, you know, it's like, the thing is,
Oh my god, JD, just spit it out. What on earth are you trying to tell me?
I'm trying to say, I forgot to book the restaurant.
That entire sentence took you 45 seconds to get out. It felt like watching paint dry, but with sound effects.
In my defense, I was thinking very hard.
Out loud. With words that meant absolutely nothing.
And that, dear listeners, is exactly what we're diving into today on Mr. and Mrs. Oxford. I'm JD.
And I'm Hazel. What you just heard from JD, those little verbal cushions like, you know, it's like, the thing is, those aren't mistakes. Far from it. They are conversation fillers. And today, we're going to show you how to make them work for you.
Because here's the absolute truth. Native speakers use these all the time. And not because we don't know what to say. It's because real, organic conversation isn't a perfectly prepared speech. There are natural pauses. There are moments where your brain is still rummaging around, trying to find the perfect word or phrase.
And fillers are what you say in those micro moments. They are thinking time phrases. They send a clear signal to the other person. I haven't finished yet. Stay with me. My brain is just buffering for a second.
And they make you sound, and this is the big one, natural, authentic, like someone you'd actually want to chat with over coffee, not someone reading from a stiff script.
Unlike some people I know.
We've been through this, Hazel. My scripts are perfectly natural.
Right. So let's start with arguably the most common and versatile filler in English. I think you'll recognize it immediately.
You know,
You know, two tiny words, but with an enormous job to do.
native speakers use, almost like a little verbal pat on the back for the listener. It's a hidden question. Are you still with me? Does this make sense to you? Are we on the same page,
Exactly. For example, it was just one of those days, Everything felt like it was going wrong at once.
You're not actually asking if they possess that knowledge already. You're inviting them to nod along, to connect, to say, yeah, totally, I've been there.
And here's the key thing. In this filler context, almost always goes at the end of a phrase or a sentence, not at the beginning. If you start a sentence with, I went to the shop, that sounds less like a filler and more like you're about to reveal something slightly conspiratorial.
I saw something very interesting today. That's more of a dramatic setup.
Precisely, versus, the whole situation felt a bit awkward, That's the filler. That's the thinking time version, the connection seeker.
Now let's talk about the one I was clearly overusing during my restaurant confession at the top of the episode.
I mean,
this one is brilliant because it sounds like you're about to clarify something or elaborate. It buys you a precious second to gather your thoughts. And it makes you sound thoughtful, not stuck.
it wasn't the best film I've ever seen, but it had its moments.
What do you expect? It was a Tuesday night. Those are never good for anything.
Is also fantastic for softening something you've just said. If you drop a statement that feels a bit harsh or absolute, lets you gently walk it back or add nuance.
The food was terrible. It wasn't terrible, but it just wasn't great.
There's a whole sentence of thinking time right there, and it sounds completely natural. No one thinks you're struggling for words. They think you're just processing, being human.
Which you are. Okay. Next up, and this one leans a little more British, I'd say. To be honest.
Or its equally polite cousin, to be fair.
These are beautiful. They signal that you're about to give your real, unvarnished opinion, your genuine take, and they soften it at the same time, making it sound considered rather than blunt.
To be honest, I didn't love the film either. It just dragged on.
To be fair, it was a very long film, and the seats were quite uncomfortable.
To be fair is also often used when you're defending something or adding balance. Even if you're complaining, you want to acknowledge the other side.
The restaurant was overpriced. To be fair, the location was absolutely stunning.
That's very British, actually. We adore balance. We love being fair. Even when we're having a good moan, we have to find something positive.
It's deeply ingrained. The whole weekend was a disaster. To be fair, the napkins were lovely.
That is genuinely something you would say, JD. I've heard you say it.
I have. I stand by it. Lovely napkins. Okay, let's move into another cluster. The sort of, kind of family.
These are what we call hedging words. They soften what you're saying. They make something sound less absolute, less definitive. They add a touch of uncertainty, which is often more accurate.
I sort of understood what he meant, but not entirely.
It's kind of hard to explain, but I'll try my best.
The atmosphere was sort of nice, but also sort of awkward.
If you simply say, I understood what he meant, that's very definite, very confident, but maybe you only grasped about 70% of it. So you say, I sort of understood, and that's more honest, more natural.
And no one judges you for it. In fact, it makes you sound more real.
Native speakers hedge all the time. Kind of, sort of, a bit, somewhat, in a way. These are all tools for saying, this is approximately true, give or take a little.
Not everything in life is 100% black and white. And sort of, and kind of, are how English handles those shades of gray.
Right. Now, here is a filler that confuses a lot of learners, and that's because it's not really a word at all.
Or
We need to talk about this one properly, because a lot of learners avoid it completely. They think it sounds unprofessional or uneducated.
And that's the complete opposite of the truth.
And are universal. Every native speaker uses them, every single one, in meetings, in interviews, in conversations with friends, on podcasts.
Is typically a little longer. It signals a slightly longer pause is coming. Is shorter. It's more of a quick verbal blip.
What do I think about it? I think it has potential, but needs some refinement.
Can you come at 3? Let me just check my calendar quickly.
The pause is natural. The sound makes the pause feel intentional, rather than just an awkward silence.
Without it, silence can feel a bit heavy. With or you're just thinking. Everyone understands that. So don't be afraid of Embrace it. It is your friend.
Now, there's one particular filler that JD uses all the time, and I find it absolutely fascinating.
Oh, here we go. My personal favorite.
The thing is,
And I'm using it right now, you see. The thing is a brilliant setup phrase. It tells the other person, I have a point coming, and it's important. But let me frame it first.
the thing is, I didn't actually forget the restaurant booking.
See? Now you're interested. Now you're leaning in. You want to know what the thing is.
I really don't, not anymore.
The thing is, I had a very good reason.
JD,
The thing is, I thought you wanted to cook that night.
I said, it might be nice to cook sometime. That was 6 weeks ago, JD. And that was after you'd supposedly booked the restaurant.
The thing is,
Stop.
right. But, genuinely, the thing is powerful because it builds anticipation. It hooks your listener. You can also use it to introduce a problem or a complication. The thing is, it's a bit more expensive than we initially thought.
Or a surprising reveal. The thing is, I already knew the answer.
Great for telling stories, great for explaining complex ideas.
Let's talk about one more group, what I like to call the bridge fillers. These keep the conversation flowing smoothly when you're going from one idea to the next or returning to a point.
Right, so, moves you forward, signals a new thought or a summary.
Anyway, redirects. Gets you back on track after a digression.
So yeah, wraps something up, confirms understanding.
I mean, basically, gets straight to the core point.
These are conversational glue. They hold your sentences and your thoughts together while your brain catches up or changes direction.
So, right, we went to the market this morning, and anyway, there was this. Basically, the biggest queue I have ever seen for a coffee.
And it flows. It sounds like a real person talking, not a textbook.
That's the goal. That's always the goal.
Now, a quick note on overuse, because there is a limit.
Yes. If every single sentence begins with, sort of, it stops being natural and starts being distracting noise.
Native speakers self-regulate without even thinking about it. you'll develop that natural rhythm too. But for now, even if you use fillers a little more than strictly necessary, that is still infinitely better than grinding to a complete halt every time you need a second to think.
Frozen silence is often the worst option. A filler, even an imperfect one, keeps the conversation alive and warm.
And you know what? The absolute best way to get truly comfortable and confident with fillers is
Listening. Active listening. Immerse yourself in real, unscripted English. Podcasts, interviews, YouTube videos, reality TV shows, documentaries. Anything that isn't acted or scripted too tightly.
and you'll start to hear them everywhere. You know, I mean, sort of, to be fair. They'll jump out at you from the dialogue.
And once you hear them, you'll start to internalize them. And once you start using them, you'll sound more natural, more confident. Full stop.
Right? Quick recap before we go.
You know, checks in, invites connection, usually goes at the end of a phrase.
I mean, buys you time, softens, and clarifies.
To be honest, to be fair, signals your real opinion, adds balance. Very British.
Sort of, as kind of, hedges, makes things less absolute, more honest. Completely normal, completely natural. Do not avoid them. They are your friends.
The thing is, frames a point, builds anticipation, signals. Something important or clarifying is coming.
And the bridge fillers. Right, anyway, yeah, basically. Keep you moving forward and connected.
Now for this week's listener challenge. We want you to become a detective of your own thoughts. Think back to a time recently when you were speaking English and found yourself grasping for words, creating one of those slightly awkward silences.
We want you to describe that moment to us. And then, looking back, which of today's conversation fillers do you think would have seamlessly filled that gap, making you sound more natural and confident?
We'd absolutely love to hear your experiences. Drop a comment. Tell us which filler felt most natural for you to try out, and which one felt the most difficult, or perhaps a bit strange.
And if you have a phrase in your own language that works just like the thing is, building anticipation, framing a point, we are genuinely curious to hear it. Leave it below. We love reading those.
Next week, we've got an episode that a lot of you have been asking about, something that trips up even very advanced learners, and something JD and I actually argue about quite a bit at home.
We do. It's a good argument, though.
The best kind. We'll see you then.
Take care.
Bye for now.